So, I've got no notes prepared for this. I've got no stimulus material to base my points off. This is just going to be me shooting from the hip, so to speak. Me talking about the Wednesday Night Wars in totality. Because here I sit on Thursday, September 24th. It's currently 7:38pm as I'm recording this. I'm going to be talking about the Wednesday Night Wars and why it's been an abject failure. And I think a lot of people expected this from the get-go. Like, of course, the concept of having two Wednesday night wrestling shows was exciting, and it's been good in some regards. Like, I'll start off by being positive. I think it's been good in some regards. Having so much good wrestling on one night has been at least good to watch. But at the same time, there's just so many negatives, and a lot of it comes from NXT and how WWE have handled these Wednesday Night Wars. It really has. Like Vince McMahon, Triple H, Jeremy Borash, anyone involved in like the executive level of WWE and NXT should really be embarrassed with how this has been handled. It's just been laughable. Seriously, so that's how NXT's handled it. AEW has just gone about their business from day one. Jericho's said it, all their top guys, the EVPs, they've said it. They're just going about like their thing. All Elite Wrestling is being All Elite Wrestling. They're not watching NXT in a monitor in their gorilla position, the same way that NXT is no doubt watching AEW in their gorilla position, okay? Like, the company's gone about it completely different ways, and it's really showcased why AEW has just handled things with so much more class, and how NXT and the WWE their pettiness has shone through from day one. Now, as far as the wars themselves, I don't think anyone would have been stupid enough to say that this is going to be the second coming of the Monday Night Wars. Now, I remember back like 13, 14 months ago, back when it first got announced that AEW would be on TNT 2 hours on Wednesday nights. NXT would be moving from the WWE network at 1 hour on Wednesday nights, or were they on Wednesday nights? No, they were on Thursday. I forget when NXT was, but they were going to move from 1 hour on WWE network, move from there to 2 hours on the USA network to go head to head with AEW. I knew when they first announced that there'd be some people who'd believe that this would save wrestling, that this would be the second coming of pro wrestling, this would be the next Monday Night Wars. To those people, I mean, the words of Stephen A. Smith, stay off the weed. I mean, seriously, you think that wrestling in 2020, as niche as it is, was going to explode into the mainstream with AEW, led by Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, and NXT, that's 15-minute matches, like 4 of them in every show. Like, it was never going to be a big mainstream deal, and we've seen by the viewership week in and week out that it just hasn't been that mainstream. It hasn't really grown pro wrestling's audience. It's basically just taken the same 1.2 to 1.8 million fans, and it's made watching wrestling for them harder. That's realistically what it's done, because both shows being on the same night has just been detrimental. It's been detrimental to everyone. I don't think really anyone's been a benefactor to them having the shows on the same night. Because, seriously speaking, like, let's look at it from a fan's perspective. You and me, the wrestling fan, the person who watches these shows most weeks, or maybe you don't watch it, but you're a fan if you're watching this video in some regard. So, basically, if you're watching as a fan, you can't really watch one without the other. If you're trying to make content about these shows, if you're trying to just watch AEW, then that's awesome, 100%, that's dope. If you're trying to just watch NXT, dope, 100%. But if you're trying to watch both, and you really love wrestling, and you want to see both shows, well, you're screwed, because you're either watching one on your laptop, one on an iPad, or you have 2 separate monitors up watching each show, and you can't really invest yourself fully into one, because you're watching the other with the other eyeball. Like, it's just made watching wrestling difficult. Like, these are two-hour wrestling shows on Wednesday night. You should be having, theoretically, one show get all the attention, another show get all the attention, wrestling's the winner, but instead, it's just this awkward thing where, oh, well, what's happening on NXT, what's happening on AEW, I can't fully invest myself in one, but because the other, NXT have this going on, oh my god, AEW's in the outbreak, what's NXT doing? Like, it's been all this just convoluted, messy crap for the past, year, which has made what should be a super amazing night for pro wrestling, theoretically, well, for the niche wrestling audience that's left, what should be an amazing night for wrestling, turn into just just something that gives you a headache, trying to keep your eye on 2 different screens and keep track of what's happening, and do you miss something on this screen? Like, it's just been messy. So that's the fans' perspective. From the company's perspective, I mean, as I was saying earlier, the company's AEW has handled it significantly better than NXT has. AEW really has. Now, obviously, along the way, AEW have made plenty of WWE-related shots. I mean, Chris Jericho calling himself the Demo God, and everything that comes along with that, saying Chris Jericho is like undefeated in the demo, because, I mean, he is, but yeah, Jericho making a thing about that on TV, the Kip Sabian-Rusev thing, where Kip Sabian is literally mentioning his Twitch every 2 seconds, just to try and take shots at WWE. It's to come with the territory. There's always going to be AEW taking shots at WWE. We've seen this for years now. Every company that's come along that's been a competitor to Vince's federation, they've always had to do the shots, be that TNA and everything they've done through the years, whether that be AEW nowadays, WCW. Like, there's a lot of WCW isms in AEW with the shots at WWE, but is that really hurting anyone? It depends. Like, the whole Twitch streamer thing is just over the top. I hate how they're doing that, but a lot of the shots are just fine. So AEW's gone basically along their merry way with these Wednesday Night Wars. They haven't really changed their product. They've stuck to a long-term storytelling model. All Elite Wrestling still run with 4 pay-per-views per year. So yeah, Revolution, Double or Nothing, All Out, and Full Gear, which I love how they do that. They make TV shows feel important, feel special. When they build up to a TV pay-per-view like Fyter Fest, for example, it actually feels kind of like important. It feels like they care. Like AEW's 1-year anniversary show on the 14th, I believe, that feels important because they've built up to it for weeks. Meanwhile, you look at Paul Levesque and what he's done with NXT, and what WWE have done with NXT in this Wednesday Night Wars. You look at what they've done, and it's been hot-shotting upon hot-shotting upon hot-shotting. Like, look no further than the Great American Bash. Seriously, Fyter Fest was set to happen. Fyter Fest was ready to go. Fyter Fest, they had 2 weeks sorted out. There'd be 1 week of Fyter Fest, the second week of Fyter Fest. The card was pretty much all sorted out. Then, like 5 days before Fyter Fest happens, NXT go, okay, we're going to put Great American Bash on this week and next week to try and counter program, which, as a content creator, I loved it because, oh god, those views were nice on those videos. The Great American Bash reviews, oh, those views were lovely. But, nah, seriously speaking, as far as just morals of everything and how one company goes about it, it was a pretty scummy kind of act by WWE. I mean, it was. As a content creator, I'm not going to complain. You'd be dumb if you really complained holistically, but just as a fan, was there any need for that? Seriously? And what did we get from that? We got NXT hot-shotting Io Shirai versus Asuka. Wait, no, sorry, it was Io Shirai versus Sasha Banks, sorry. We had Io Shirai versus Sasha Banks hot-shotted, a genuine takeover main event worthy match, hot-shotted on like 4 days notice just to get a main event match for a Great American Bash. And then we had Keith Lee versus Adam Cole done randomly at Great American Bash. And because of how you did it, that got spoiled because some clown from Indus Share, or whatever that tag team was, some bum, spoiled it. So Keith Lee's big moment got ruined as a result of the Wednesday Night Wars and the pettiness and stuff like that. Keith Lee's big moment got completely ruined because of the Wednesday Night Wars. Just honestly pathetic. So I look at stuff like that. As far as the rest of the Wednesday Night Wars, as far as the content we've gotten, which company's given us the better shows? That's far and away AEW. AEW have given us some not iconic moments, because that's a bit pedantic, that's a bit fanboyish. They've given us some segments and some matches and moments that you can actually remember legitimately. For example, Cody Rhodes, the moonsault off the cage, MJF, and the Cody Rhodes storyline, especially that lashing segment. Like, that MJF lashing Cody Rhodes segment was just phenomenal. The storytelling, MJF being such a great heel, the babyface heel dynamic, it was just phenomenal. I don't care if you hate Cody Rhodes and you think X, Y, and Z of Cody Rhodes, that segment was amazing. There's been the Chris Jericho stuff, where he was late champion, the Jericho-Cody stuff. We've had Chris Jericho and MJF having that promo segment back in November last year. I've watched that back so many times. Now if Jericho, MJF, looking like they're going to feud again. We've had Omega and Page, the stuff they've done with the long-term storytelling. So much really good stuff on Dynamite. Granted, there's been some stuff that's just missed, like the Dark Order initially was just a complete abominable failure. When that Dark Order dude, who was not trained in pro wrestling at all, was punching Dustin Rhodes to close the December 18th Dynamite last year, the final Dynamite of 2019. That dude's punching Dustin Rhodes. You guys know what I'm talking about. He's punching Dustin Rhodes and missing him by like 2 feet. It was embarrassing. It was a mess. It made a mockery of the Dark Order and All Elite Wrestling. So that was bad. The Nightmare Collective was an abominable failure. The Women's Deadly Draw Tag Team Tournament, I mean, for the people who watched it, I'm sure you guys enjoyed it. It's been a bit of a dud, but really, AEW have given us a lot of good content. NXT have just hot-shotted and hot-shotted and hot-shotted, illogical booking, decisions that don't make sense, not going with stuff that makes sense in favor of stuff that doesn't make sense. It's just a bit of a mess. NXT and this Wednesday Night Wars haven't handled themselves well. As far as other stuff I want to mention in this video, look, this video is probably going to be like 15 minutes. I'm going to keep talking for a little bit. So, NXT, AEW, some other stuff I want to mention just while I'm talking about the Wednesday Night Wars. One of the, I guess I'll say positives, or maybe negatives, however you want to say this. One of the things that's been a big talking point is Brian Alvarez, Dave Meltzer, the wrestling media. Wrestling media has been right on the side of AEW from day one, and fair enough, it's an alternative. It gives something like a hope at the end of the tunnel that maybe one day AEW will take down the malicious WWE, and these people can say that they've been here since day one and they've been riding AEW since day one and they feel more attached to it, so that when and if AEW one day takes the crown from WWE, that they've been on the bandwagon since day one. These kind of journalists, you know, Alvarez, Meltzer, all these like big kind of YouTube channels who are riding AEW, that's all well and good for them, but really the main thing I want to talk about is just the ratings and how the ratings have been handled week in, week out. It's been a bit of a failure. It's been an abominable failure, I'm sorry. The ratings and how the ratings have been dealt with has been a failure. Like, let's be legit. Like, we look at the ratings week in, week out, it looks kind of embarrassing. Like, I remember, especially during the pandemic, like April and May, and you have Brian Alvarez tweet out the ratings, and it's like, oh, AEW Dynamite drew 648,000 viewers. NXT drew 604,000 viewers. And you think, 1.2 million people watched these two shows combined. How sad is that? But then, in a more positive, upbeat note, we have the recent ratings where AEW hit 1 million viewers. Once again, for the first time in like 11 months, AEW hit 1 million viewers again, and that was all because they did it on separate nights. They had NXT on Tuesdays, Super Tuesday, and we had AEW on Wednesdays, traditionally. That's how it should stay. It should stay that way. The Wednesday Night Wars have benefited no one. That proved it. NXT being on Tuesday nights, getting 700,000 viewers, or 800,000, whatever they got, and AEW being on Wednesday nights, getting 900 to a bit over 1 million, that's where it should be. That is what the ratings should be. But instead, we have this convoluted mess where NXT and AEW are on 2 nights. Reviewers, people who cover this stuff, don't know how to do it. It's just a mess. It's chaos. You can't really watch one if you want to watch both, or you watch them later and you don't get the live experience. The NXT with the hot-shotting, Vince trying to sabotage AEW but shooting his own brand in the foot, and NXT becoming worse than Raw for a while and worse than SmackDown. Like, NXT has been flat out hard to watch. Like, I want to make it known, NXT has been brutal to watch this year. Like, by and large, for the most part, NXT has just been brutal to watch, dude. Straight up. NXT during the pandemic period was atrocious, because NXT without fans doesn't work. You can't have a work rate, match-based product which relies upon audience interaction and playing off the hype of the audience, but then not have an audience. It doesn't work. It just flat out sucks. So that's been the Wednesday Night Wars and why it's been a failure. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. If you're still here, massive shout out to you. Leave down below what you think of the Wednesday Night Wars. Has it been a success in your opinion? If it has, please tell me why. Enlighten me. Tell me why it's been a success, because quite frankly, I see this Wednesday Night Wars thing as an outright failure. I really do. I can't think of really one positive that's really come of this, because I mean, okay, two good wrestling shows in the same night. I guess that's cool, but a lot of negatives comes with that. NXT should just stay on Tuesdays or move to Thursdays, whatever you want to do. AEW stays on Wednesdays. It just feels like the right way to go. So, yeah, that's been the video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Like, comment, sub. You guys know the drill. See ya.